I'll go ahead and kick us off. Thank you for joining us today. I know everybody's time is valuable, so I appreciate you taking the time to jump on here and listen to some of the value that OneCloud can provide. Today, we're talking about OneCloud Integrators. Now, integrators I know can be one of those things that gets a little bit confusing. So hopefully, I can break that down a little bit today and help you understand, what is an integrator, what is the value in it, how we can utilize it or leverage it, or how a company can leverage it, and some of the options that we have. It can get a little bit gray into what is needed. So hopefully today we can break that down a little bit. So my name is Ben. Many of you already know me, but my role here is onboarding and product evangelism. I've been with the organization for going on 15 years. Started out on our structured cabling crew, pulling data cables, building out data closets, fiber optics, things along those lines. Worked my way up to a phone technician, installing phone systems such as Nortel, Condial, Avaya, V2 cabinets, things along those lines, traditional telephony. And then there was a big shift to cloud-based communications, and I was fortunate enough to be with a company that gave me the tools and the freedom to learn as much as possible. And it's definitely been an honor to work with OneCloud as we've grown over the years, and to learn a lot of the changes and be right there on the forefront of technology, learning things like networking, VoIP, and SIP. Cloud-based computing, it's been a lot of fun. And with that said, what is OneCloud? Who is OneCloud? So OneCloud is more than just a UCaaS provider. Our mission here at OneCloud is to build trusted relationships, tailored solutions, and connect business partners through innovative communication strategies in an ever-evolving digital landscape. As I always say, ever-evolving digital landscape is that is a very true statement. Even since COVID, technology and how we communicate and how we work and where we work has changed tremendously. Now, OneCloud has been around for a while, and we were initially born in the 80s. During that time, there wasn't a lot of variety in communications. There was a big breakup of a telecom company, created some variety, and some folks came together and formed an organization at that time called Catskill Communications. Catskill focused on, of course, structured cabling and on-premise PBX or phone systems. Now, back then, structured cabling was a very, very big deal. Every phone needed, multiple wires or cables. It all tied back to a huge phone closet, where there was just an absolutely big spaghetti mess of cables. And then, as telecommunications evolved and became a little bit more driven by computers, we eventually evolved into an organization called Telware. Now, Telware is still around. That is our parent company. Their primary focus is on infrastructure. So we're talking all of the structured cabling that helps our communication happen, and things like overhead paging, white noise, door contacts. So all those card readers and stuff like that, those need cabling to work. Overhead door sensors, TVs, mounting TVs, building out data closets and data centers. So everything on the physical layer of communications is still on the Telware side. For a long time, Telware did that physical layer as well as telecommunications, but as technology evolved, we eventually moved into OneCloud, which is our software development side. So we're not a software development company that created a communication system. We've been in communications and we grew into software development. Now, as technology evolved and we grew, we saw a lot of gaps moving from on-premise based communication equipment to cloud-based communication equipment. Some of those things being faxing, mass notifications, alert systems, things along those lines. A lot of that used to tie into the on-premise PBX. And when everything moved to the cloud, there was a lot of stuff left behind. We tried to bridge those gaps. So, today we're talking about integrators, but as an organization, we offer UCaaS, Unified Communications as a Service. We offer CCaaS. We offer Microsoft Teams. We are a Microsoft Teams Operator Connect certified partner. We offer mobile solutions, faxing solutions, mass notification solutions, and development of those communications equipment. So as an organization, we do get into a lot of different things, from basically from the cabling and the ground all the way up. We we can do it all. A little bit about what you're going to learn today. So you're going to understand the power of integrations. What's an integration? What's it do? How does it help my company? How does it streamline my tools and connect with CRMs and those things? What's the cost of disconnection? If I don't have any type of an integration that connects things, what's the cost of that? So with that, you're going to see where there's going to be some wasted time, errors, poor customer service by systems that don't really sync or talk to each other. And then we're going to explore some actual solutions. So I'll walk you through some of our integrations, see what they look like, and see the benefits of each. Our agenda today is what is an integration? So we'll talk about what is an integration, how does it work? Some of the key challenges that organizations will run into when they don't have those integrations. Key benefits, what are those benefits? What are the core components that really drive that efficiency and create more of more continuity in your day-to-day business actions? And then I'll dive into our integration. So I'll walk through some of the integrations that we have so you can see them and understand what they do. It can be a little bit confusing, so I will start with the things that are fairly basic and then get into the more feature-rich type solutions with those integrations. And then I'll talk real briefly on what a transition looks like. So if you are looking to move from a UCaaS or looking to move to a CCaaS or something along those lines, with our organization, what does that look like? So diving right in here, from chaos to connected, what integrations are and why they matter. So an integration is essentially, in our case, we are a communications company. So it allows us to take our communication system and then allow data to flow into another repository. Let's say, for example, your CRM. So it allows those business apps to communicate with each other. Maybe it allows it to pull information and show information on the phone system, or maybe it allows you to push information of an interaction from a call or a meeting, or maybe even a text message over to your CRM so you can record that. It helps so you don't have to do a lot of typing. We tend to forget things such as updating notes or adding a note. So it's very beneficial to have that integration where those softwares talk to each other and allow data to flow freely between them. Without an integration, let's say, for example, your CRM and your phone system don't communicate, users are juggling apps. So I take a phone call with the customer, then I have to go into my tool, I have to locate the contact, I have to update some notes, maybe I have to set a task, things along those lines, and there's a lot of manual action. And we're very busy. Some days we're trying to get things done. We get off a phone call, somebody comes over, interrupts us, and we forget to set a calendar invite or an appointment or a task. So without integrations and some of that automation, it can definitely slow things down. And then with OneCloud's integrations, depending on the integration that you're working with, your calls can be logged directly into a CRM or into one of your tools automatically. So sales and service are sharing the same information. Our service team might have a conversation with a customer. Customer might end up on the phone with an account manager, for example. That customer wants to know that that information travels, along, and that record is there. It's more friendly, it's more customer efficient, and more customer centric, really, and helps everybody stay aligned. Now, with things like integrations, you're going to boost efficiency. So you're going to be reducing some manual tasks, making things that were trivial or took up time, like putting notes, eliminating some of those steps. You'll improve customer service. You're going to be doing that by giving those agents information a little bit more quickly. So when a call comes in, they can see information, they can greet that customer accordingly without having to go through, can I get your name? Can I get this? Which can be kind of redundant. Automate workflows. So within some of these integrations, when a call ends, for example, you can set a certain disposition that may trigger a workflow in your CRM to create some automation. And they scale, right? So they're very easy. As your business grows and as things change and as your needs evolve, these integrations can scale from user to user, and the richness of what these integrations may do or share between systems is, can grow as well. You'll enhance accuracy, so you're breaking down some of those human interactions, so individuals aren't touching things as much and forgetting, or maybe not putting in notes as efficiently. And then lastly, with our organization, we provide custom development. So depending on the tool, depending on your need, some of these integrations are quite simple, and they do some simple things, but maybe you need them to be a little bit more specific, such as setting a schedule appointment or things along those lines. Depending on what those needs are and your company evolves, our organization can stay right there with you. So some of the challenges of integrations, or challenges of not having integrations, is manual work and errors. So agents will have to re-enter notes and call details by hand. This increases mistakes and slows down workflows. With that, as I mentioned, when you have a call with a customer, you have to take that time afterwards to update notes, create a task or something along those lines. And maybe you're pushing that information over, and it's not as accurate or is not as detailed as it needs to be. And that slows down the process. I've always been an advocate of less is more sometimes, and the more actions that a user or agent has to perform during the call or post-call follow-up, errors can happen. People can forget things. So automating a lot of that is important. And inefficient workflows. So slower response times and follow-ups, missed deadlines, and reduced productivity. I'll talk to a case study in a little bit where the customer at the end of a call, they have one of our Salesforce integrations where essentially when the call ends, they will utilize what's called a disposition. And based on that disposition, they may need to trigger a task. So if the disposition is X, it will automatically create a task and assign it to that person to follow up in a couple of days or maybe a couple of weeks. The user didn't have to do anything. They ended the call, set the disposition. That disposition had a motive behind it, which automatically created that task. There was no individual need, or somebody didn't need to create that manually, which sped up processes. If you're forgetting that or not doing that consistently, that can definitely lead to, slower response times. Maybe I'm forgetting to follow up with the customer, things along those lines, which can, that impacts customer service as well. Limited reporting. When call data is not tied to CRM records, it's hard to track history or agent performance, and trends and coaching opportunities are missed. That's always a big one. You've got your communication system over here, you're taking your calls, but sometimes without integrations, they're not tied to actual activities within your CRM. So these activities or these calls that you're having or your team's having on a daily basis, there's no way to track, what is the result of those calls? Are these calls leading to increased capital? Are they leading to potential churn? I have no way to look or link that information together. Our CRMs are our single point of truth. And a lot of times we're having conversations with our customer via email. We're having conversations with our customers via phone. And being able to put all of that together is really, really important. Disjointed customer experience. There's no real-time insights during calls. Customers repeat themselves and miss chances for personalization. This ties into screen pops. And there's also some custom CRM routing where, a call comes into an agent. Instead of having to ask them, find their account, find their information, all of this information is presented automatically based on caller ID. And not having that, again, you call in, you just kind of feel like you're in line, and there's nothing personal about that communication. So having some of that pre-built or populating for your agents or users to talk to your customers gives individuals a little bit more of a good experience. And the limited reporting thing too, there's some really cool pieces where, I'll talk about summary transcription or transcription summaries, pushing that information over, being able to capture all of those words, even a single word, to be able to filter by it and search it across the customer base is huge. And, if you're not capturing that information and pushing it over, there can be a lot lost that you could definitely leverage to improve not only customer service, but, overall, capital within your organization. Some of the benefits of an integration, honestly, an integration with a CRM, it's going to auto log calls. It allows you to have a 360 customer view. So this is going to speed up your response times. It's going to give you things like real-time pop-ups with customer information, gives you insight and advanced analytics and trends. As I mentioned, it can eliminate manual data entry. So a couple of things that we are able to do is push over notes or summary transcriptions during calls. So call occurs, depending on the type of integration, when an agent ends that call, it automatically places that information within the customer fields or under the contact, preventing that agent from having to take some additional steps, reduces that human error and speeds up those workflows. Other things such as improving that agent productivity overall by speeding them up, adding less things on their plate for them to have to do is a huge asset. And, boosting sales and support. One thing I wanted to kind of say on that, as I mentioned, being able to search specific words. Our CTO was talking to one day, and he made a really cool example of, imagine if you're an account manager, you're in charge of, 40 accounts, 50 accounts, and summary transcription is enabled for an entire organization. Well, what that individual is able to do is create a filter within their CRM of their 30 or 40 accounts. And because all of those notes and all that communication is captured, they could run a search on the word cancel, for example. And now it doesn't matter if that customer or anybody within a company has spoken to billing, to the service department, to anybody in sales or any other team, it can automatically look through the notes and pull up any interactions that may have included the word cancel. That's huge, especially when you're managing a large amount of accounts. Some are 30 and 40, some people are managing 100 to 200 accounts. To keep track of all of that on a daily basis is almost impossible. So having ways to improve that is really substantial. Real quick, I wanted to talk about a case study that we had with an organization that utilized some of our integrations and more. And it was really a unique case the way that this organization ran. So this was a mortgage company, and they started out with about 10 or 15 users, and essentially they were growing quite rapidly. Now, in this organization, their users, what they were doing was purchasing cell phones for their agents as they came in. And then those agents were making phone calls out every day to either existing business or new business. Now, when they made these outbound calls, when they completed, they utilized Salesforce. So they had to go over to Salesforce and they had to create an activity and a note and manually put in all of this disposition information every time a call ended. And then lastly, the owner, one of his primary goals was that every day, each individual needed to make at least 40 calls for prospecting. So they needed to make 40 outbound calls to potential new business to try and generate new revenue or new mortgages. Now, at this time, since they were using cell phones, they didn't have any way to look at the calls. They had no way to see how many calls were being made on a daily basis. So they had no reporting whatsoever. They wanted to eliminate that step where the agents were essentially having to go in and put notes in every account. So they wanted to be able to start being able to track things a little bit more efficiently. And with some of that human error in there, it was preventing them from being able to see a clearer view of that. And then they also wanted to get a better idea of where their agents were throughout the day. So as I mentioned, they were required to make those 40 outbound calls a day. Well, they had no visibility on that. So the first thing that we did is we converted them over to OneCloud, and then we made a portion of their agents CCaaS agents or call center agents. With that, they're no longer using cell phones, and now on OneCloud, they're able to capture all of their calls and all of their call recording within one place. With that, they get what's also called sentiment analysis. So on those calls, they can see the sentiment of those interactions. Once they had converted over to OneCloud with those agents, because they're call center agents, they're also able to get metrics and analytics on those agents. So the leadership wanted to be able to see that they're making those outbound calls, and if they're not hitting that 40 call metric, why? So with this reporting, you're able to see the outbound calls they're making per day, and then you're able to see things like maybe Tim's got 38 calls and Tina's got 25. Well, why does Tina have 25 less calls? Well, they can actually see the outbound talk time. and the outbound talk time average, and maybe Tina's talk time is higher. Well, that means that Tina's maybe made less outbound calls, but she's engaging her customers more, which may have resulted in more revenue or more new mortgage opportunities. So now they're able to see those calls going out. They're able to track those agents and see what they're doing, as well as not have to manage those cell phones, have those call recordings and everything. But then they also utilize our Salesforce integration. So our Salesforce integration is one of our richer applications where it's a dialer that's actually built within Salesforce. And that dialer built within Salesforce lives 100% within Salesforce. They do all of their inbound and outbound calling. And with that dialer, anytime a call comes in or anytime a call goes out, they get a screen pop of that contact. So it automatically recognizes the caller ID information and pops that contact's information on their screen. So they immediately know who they're talking to and have a lot of information at hand or at ready to engage that particular customer. In addition, when they ended the call, another pop-up would come where they would be able to assure that it was connected to the right contact. They could associate it to either a deal or a case or maybe even an opportunity, and they could set the disposition. Now, these dispositions were critical for the company, and we did work with their Salesforce development a little bit. But essentially, the disposition itself was allowing them to be able to delineate between new business and existing business. So now they're able to separate those calls and those call dispositions. But with the new business calls, they were able to even drill down further and see things like, well, out of these 30 calls that we made, 10 of them were do not call, and maybe 25 were call back later, and then some of them were set an appointment. So now I'm able to see even further into where some revenue generation might be, which agents are being able to do that, and to have a broader business or a broader view of my business and growth long term. Now, one thing that we ended up throwing in at the very end as we talked to them as well was Alert Blast. Now, Alert Blast, I've got some other webinars. I won't get into that one too much, but Alert Blast is one of our tools that has a dialer built into it. And what we ended up doing is these agents would come up with a list every day of 40 individuals that they wanted to call, and they would upload that list into Alert Blast. So as they're going throughout their day with their Salesforce dialer, making their calls or receiving their calls, they were able to toggle a queue. And when they toggled that queue, it would immediately start dialing through that list of 40 numbers. So now we've not only automated all of their calling, and all of their calling is within one place. With this integration, it's streamlined all of the ways that they're able to capture the customer's interactions, capture the call notes, the dispositions, and providing those screen pops really sped everything up. But now their leadership had visibility of their agents, were able to provide better coaching opportunities, and overall really improved a lot of their communications. So, in that case, that Salesforce integration was crucial. And I'll show you some of that here shortly. But integrations, depending on the scale, if you need something simple or large, they can be huge for your organization and the way that they can impact it. Now, I'm going to start with some of the simpler pieces here and try and get into a little bit more feature rich, depending on what you're looking for integrations. But first thing I wanted to talk about was OneCloud Connect. So OneCloud Connect is OneCloud's agnostic or single pane of glass for communications. It is a desktop or cell phone app that essentially you can do all of your team chatting. So internally, you can chat with everybody. This webinar today is hosted on OneCloud Connect, so you can do all of your video conferencing. You can do some call center stuff. You can do all of your calling within one place. But as integrations and things grow, especially cloud integrations, you can do some other really cool stuff. One of those things is out of the box. If you are a OneCloud Modern user, you have the ability to do things such as screen pop. These screen pops can be simple. So they can just be, hey, I want you to Google the caller ID every time I receive a call. And then you have the ability to know, hey, I want to only have the screen pop when I answer the call or when it rings, or manual. I want to have the option to do that, or I want to turn that off completely. Now, if you have a CRM, so for example, you'll see down here HubSpot. If I have a CRM, I'm able to utilize HubSpot with those pop-ups. So essentially, out of the box, if you're a HubSpot user or a Salesforce user or Zoho user, you need your instance ID. And essentially, every time a call came in, it would send over communication to your CRM, and then based on the caller ID, pop that individual's contact card. So that's already built into OneCloud Connect. And I did want to show here real quick. Let me stop sharing this. And show this. If you're not using OneCloud Connect, the desktop app, or you're using the cell phone app, we also have a Chrome integration. So the Chrome integration lives up here. And with this integration, you again can do all of your calling. From here, you can look at all of your history, you can look at your contacts, you can look at your meetings, or schedule meetings. But from here as well, if you don't want to use that app and you just want to live within your Chrome browser, you have those same options here. So with this Chrome integration, you are able to do those screen pops depending on what you're looking for. And with this, you also have these cool things such as click to dial. So if you look over here, if I hover over this, I have the ability to just click here or click here, and it's automatically going to call those numbers. So, it doesn't matter if you're using the OneCloud Connect app or if you're using the Chrome integrations or the Chrome extension, you have the ability to have some of those integrations built in. And let me reshare this. Now, as an example, I just wanted to show you what it looks like, and all of you can do this if you're on Connect. Right now, this would be like me sitting on my desktop, and then a call comes in on Connect, and I just, maybe I don't have a CRM, maybe I'm a smaller company, and I want to Google the number every time it comes in, or maybe I want to use a different type of search engine. Essentially, this is what you'll see. Call comes in, I get this screen pop, it Google the number, my caller ID happened to be OneCloud. And there you go. I can answer the call from right here and interact with my customer. And then at the same time, it's given me a screen pop and told me that this telephone number is associated with this awesome company right here, OneCloud. So very simple tool and feature, whether you're using the browser extension or you're using, the Connect app, this is already built in and out of the box for you. So that's a simple integration, one piece of it. And then from there, we have some hands-free logging. Now, this is something I've been working pretty closely with, and we already have it set up with tools like HubSpot, Salesforce, Zoho, Service Titan, and more, where essentially, if you receive a call, and I was mentioning adding notes or creating a notes section, you have the ability to easily do that with this integration. Now, what this integration is it's hands-free, so I don't need an app or tool. I don't need to put any notes. Essentially, what it is if you're on a OneCloud device, doesn't matter if you're on the desk phone, if you're on the Connect app, if you're on the cell phone, if you're on OneCloud Mobile, if you make a phone call and have a communication with your customer and the integration is enabled, then it's automatically going to log that call. Sorry about that. There we go. Now, the cool part about it is you first, once you enable that integration, you have to go in and then select user. So if you're using HubSpot, for example, you'd go in and you would select the users that you want to have enabled. Now, within OneCloud, we do a lot of cool things. We also do SMS as well as logging meetings. SMS is still a bit of a work in progress. But if you're using something like OneCloud Mobile, every time you have a conversation with your customer, maybe via text, as long as that caller ID matches what's within your CRM, I can push that communication over and all of those touch points. So it's a really cool way to be able to automatically log that. Now, this is also available out of the box for a OneCloud Modern user. What is not, and gets a little bit more complicated, is when we talk about AI summary transcription. So I'm going to show you an example of what this would look like. First of all, I want to reiterate that this runs behind the scenes. So if you're an organization that essentially you want to start logging and capturing all of those touch points, with this integration, you can do that seamlessly. You would just enable the integration between OneCloud and your CRM, select the users that you would want to capture, and then by default, it would capture just this portion right here. It would tell you the caller ID, who made the phone call, what the direction of the call was, date, time, duration, and then if you have recording enabled, it would give you a link to the recording. Now, if you did have summary transcription enabled, then you would also see the summary and transcription of that particular call, which is pretty cool. So if you have this enabled for everybody in your organization, you can always log those touch points. Really important for accountability. Maybe you're on a sales team and you're supposed to be making a bunch of phone calls or doing certain things. This can capture all of those. And then I can get a report on a daily or weekly basis of your calls, those interactions, and maybe even the disposition. So it's seamless and automatically captures all of that together. Now, I showed you that Connect would give you the ability to do screen pop. So that is baked in. And then with the CRM integration on the back end, you now have easily screen pops from your CRM with contact information. And now I'm able to push all of that call data over. It's pretty cool. And as I mentioned, most of it is baked into OneCloud, depending on what your features are. Now, it can get more complex than that. And one of those tools that sits in between is our OneCloud Desktop Integrator. Now, I'll be honest, with cloud integrations, a lot of these desktop integrations are not needed as much anymore. Some people prefer to use them over a browser-based thing, and if that's the case, it's not a problem at all. We have solutions for that. But essentially what happens is a desktop integration will sit in the middle of your communication system and your CRM, for example. So what this tool will allow you to do is to manage all of your phone calls, all of your communications with your customers, transferring calls and things along those lines. But it is that pivot point that is going to allow you to make those phone calls and then push over whatever type of data or dispositions over to your CRM. You have total desktop phone control. So from here, if I needed, I could select a soft phone or a desk phone, depending on what I needed. This would do all the controlling of the calling, and it essentially acts as the hub between the two. All of your call history is right here at hand, like our, the other apps or even the Chrome extension. And from here, I can quickly look up contacts, add contacts. And with my call history, I'm able to see information as well. So I see that I have some outbound calls, any calls that I've missed, any inbound calls. Now, also from things like missed calls, if you have a particular missed call with an integration, it can create a task in the CRM for you. So for example, I missed a call, I can have a task automatically generated within the CRM that says, call this individual back. It's associated with this contact. You missed a call. Hugely important. And again, it really depends on your company and organization, what your drivers are. But, you miss a call, you're missing opportunities, and you're always trying to make sure you're doing the best for your customer. You also have presence view. Now this is pretty standard across all tools, and it is available on our Chrome extension, our OneCloud Connect app. But presence essentially allows you to instantly see what individuals are doing. So are those individuals on a call? Are they in Do Not Disturb? Are they available? So that's pretty handy to improve that team collaboration and to ensure what's everybody up to. And to show you an example of a screen pop, this is Salesforce, and this is using the desktop integration. Essentially, a call will come in, and the first thing that you're going to see is that the account popped. So the incoming call, once it came in, it automatically popped the contact's information. I'm an agent or user ready to take the call. I can see that this came in from Testerson. I see who the contact owner is. This happens to be Zoho. So I'm able to easily see, here's all my tickets. Here's my open tickets. I can look at overdue tickets. I can look at the happiness rating. And I have at my disposal and very quickly a plethora of information that I can use to engage my customer. Out of the gate, that's huge because now I'm able to provide a higher level of customer service. Once that call completes, you'll see here that under the activities, I now have a log of that interaction. So I didn't have to create this log. I didn't have to create this activity. I just got a screen pop. I had a conversation, and now all of this information is nested nicely within my CRM. And this can be done, A, for tracking, or if I'm pushing over that summary. It's a quick way for me to be able to see something. Maybe our support team has a conversation with a customer and there's some things promised, and then they speak to an account manager. That account manager can easily see when this call occurred, how long it was, and what some of those things were promised. Some of the simpler things, but we think are pretty cool, is our busy light. So OneCloud does offer a busy light. One of these cool tools, essentially, this is a little light that sits on top of some of our monitors. We've got Hunter over here attending us. I can see his light is red and flashing, just indicating that's on a call, that he's on a call. There's a lot of people who work in offices that, maybe you don't have your own office, maybe you're in a few cubes. It quickly allows people to see, if you're on a call or engaged in something. We've all walked up and started having a conversation, and somebody's like, I'm on a call. So these are pretty cool. It automatically connects with OneCloud Connect. No setup or anything required. You just plug it in via USB. You put it wherever you need it, where everybody can visibly see it. And it's an easy way for people to kind of see what you're currently doing or when not to bug you. And then another cool feature with it as well is it does have an external ringer. So if you're using a headset all the time and maybe you can't hear that well, you can have the little external ringer there on the busy light. And the colors are customizable. So it doesn't just come in green, yellow, and red. You can change these to purple or some kind of crazy color, whatever you prefer. So this is a simple example of just an integration where maybe a device or piece of hardware can connect with your software to help improve or better increase visibility in certain things. So a lot of this, all of these things all tie together for the most part using an API. APIs are outstanding. Essentially what they are is they allow a couple of pieces of software to communicate with each other. And an API, once connected, allows you to update maybe information in the CRM or delete information in the CRM or even request information from the CRM. Maybe after a call is completed, I need to create a task or maybe I need to update a field within the CRM. Again, this could be Salesforce, this could be Zoho, this could be HubSpot, Microsoft Dynamic, Service Titan. APIs are what allows that to happen and push a lot of that information. So with these APIs is where I'm able to push over a lot of this data into these notes fields. So here you'll see Service Titan, for example, where these are notes. So every call that Jack Turner, who is the customer, has had is shown up here in the note history. I've seen some pretty cool things with CRMs, especially, I was playing around in HubSpot the other day. I placed about 7 test calls into HubSpot, and HubSpot now has its own little AI that sits up in the corner. And all of these calls were automatically logged. All of the summary transcription was logged to the notes field, but then it actually gave me a summary of the entire past 7 interactions. It says, over the past 7 calls or 7 interactions you've had with your customer, here's what the sentiment seems to be like. Here's what the average conversations were about, or here are the primary topics that they're having conversations for. So even better ways to capture this. And here's a little bit more of a basic view of what that log would look like within Service Titan. To get a little bit more complicated into integrations and some of those capabilities, this is a snapshot from our CX solution, OneCloud CX. This is our omni-channel contact center. So if you're looking for something that's very, very robust, you can communicate across text, SMS, web chat, video conferencing, all of those things. So it allows those customers to do all that communication. But with the API integrations, you can do some pretty complex stuff. It may seem simple, but in order to make it work, it can be a little bit challenging. We had one customer who happened to be a large HVAC company, and this HVAC company had this group that they called their priority customers or their priority group. These priority customers paid a premium every month. And essentially, it was kind of like maintenance. So they would come out, maybe check their air filters and do a once over on their units twice a year, things along those lines. And when those individuals called in, instead of them going to the phone tree, so they call the main number, and instead of having to go through a phone tree, selecting option 1 for this or option 2 for this. What happened is when that individual would call in, there would be an API call over to their CRM that says, give me this information on this customer. When it would return that information, it would also return a flag if they were or were not a VIP customer. If they were a preferred or VIP customer, without even presenting them with the phone tree, it automatically routed them over to a preferred queue. So that customer automatically knew right out of the gate that they were being routed to a preferred queue. The hold music and marketing or on hold media was tailored to them specifically. And then when that call occurred, the pop-up that the agent saw also provided that information that showed that this is a preferred customer and gave them as much information as possible, which was really, really, really beneficial in that regard. And lastly, I just want to show you real quick the Salesforce integration soft phone. So this is what we utilize for the one mortgage industry. So this is what the soft phone looks like. And from here, they would do all of their dialing. It would create those activities automatically within their CRM. And when those calls were completed, this is what they would see. So they'd have the call log. And with this, they would have the contact name. They could associate who it was related to, dispositions. With that particular customer, they had a drop down, and that drop down would determine the type of business or type of call and follow-up actions. From that, they could trigger those workflows. And lastly, they had their notes. They would just hit save, and everything would happen automatically for them. So it was a really, really big deal. So again, those integrations essentially with what we would do is link our communication solutions, which is OneCloud, regardless of your device, and it could do a lot of different things, such as push data over to your CRM, update fields within the CRM, which will trigger workflows, or even do something simple as screen pop. So there's a lot of different ways that this can be utilized. And if you want to know more, I'm happy to elaborate. We can have a one-on-one, or I can set up a call. But for the sake of time, we'll go ahead and close this out. So just lastly, I want to talk about what it looks like for a transition. If you are an organization that is looking to move from a UCaaS system or move from your on-prem system to OneCloud, or maybe even just POTS replacement, something simple, our organization does follow a specific path. We have an outstanding project management team. Essentially, before we even talk doing anything, we go through an assessment phase. We make sure that all the infrastructure and your communication needs are met and that we can align with them. We'll go through a planning phase where essentially we'll develop that scope of work. What are we looking to deliver? What goals are you trying to accomplish? And then during deployment, we'll do installation, testing, and transition everything. During that period in time, our projects teams is heavily involved with you to make sure that we align all of those times, those dates, and then also the training and support. Things like that are very, very important. Depending on your organization, we can do remote support or on-site. And then if there's an emergency, you need to get things done quickly, we have the manpower, we have the experience. We've been doing this for a couple of weeks. We can fast track some deployment for you. So with that said, I'll go ahead and open this up for questions. Love to hear any questions. Just hit that little hand down there at the bottom, and one of our moderators will go ahead and unmute you. And as I mentioned, if you have any questions or follow-ups, I'm more than happy to set up a one-on-one. So I'll go ahead and open this up. Go for it, sir.
Ben, appreciate the effort you put into putting this together. I think this should be eye-opening for anyone, whether you're a OneCloud employee or you're a reseller or a prospective customer. You can instantly turn a dial tone into more than just a dial tone. And that builds the value both for you as a customer with your internal customers, the folks that work with you. For us, as the sellers of this product, it's a key differentiator. And if you expand when you're talking about this to whomever, it puts you a step above or ahead of everyone else that's just talking about dial tone, right? So you get a support call. Someone says they're not happy with us. They may want to leave us, right? Like this type of knowledge gives you the ability to mitigate churn through functionality, and they may not have known that before. And when sitting down at the table with a prospect, whether you're a reseller of ours or you're a direct seller of ours, talking about more than just the dial tone and the increased functionality, that's a value prop. That puts you way ahead of everyone else. So please, please, please slow down, make sure everyone understands exactly what our capabilities are and expand upon them. And it increases the value of our dial tone exponentially. So, Ben, I appreciate it. This is great for me. I love hearing the information. I'm a value prop master. Any way I can sharpen my saw, I will. I think everyone else should do the same thing, whether you're saving customers, implementing customers, or selling customers. Always put yourself ahead of everyone else through value, not through price or the standard functionality. So appreciate it very much, Ben. Thanks, man.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. And, I know some of this can be a little bit confusing as to what does what. So if you have questions, don't hesitate to reach out to me for clarification, because, sometimes you have these options of integrations and, they all swirl around in your head and what it can do. We can go from simple to a Cadillac, depending on what that customer needs. So, if you need that clarification, I'm more than happy to help you out. And as usual, a recording this will be sent out to everybody as this will be done. So if you want to share that with your customers or anything along those lines, feel free, or I can send you a copy as well. All right. Thank you all. Have a great day.